So today we are going to install one of these aftermarket third brake lights. This is 10 inches long. It has a 3-wire setup. So there is a black wire, red wire, and white wire. So if you connect the black wire to ground and then you use the red wire, you get a scanning feature, goes back and forth, and then comes on at 60% brightness. If you connect the black to ground and use the white wire, it blinks 2 or 3 times and then comes on at 100% brightness. That's the one that we're going to use. So we'll connect the black to ground and the white wire. I'm going to install it right here in the middle underneath my rack to act as a third brake light, since my tent covers the third brake light. So first thing I would suggest doing is taking some masking tape and taping off just in the area that you think is center. It doesn't have to be perfect, but now I can measure that bar and get it center left to right, and then I can also figure out the distance for my holes to drill and center it up and down in there. I'll get all that done, show you that. I like using the tape because I can mark on it without scratching up the powder coat on the rack. All right, got our holes drilled, got it mounted. I got the wires ran up and over and down out the other side. I need some wiring loom, so done for tonight. Unfortunately, we'll be back tomorrow when I get some loom and get it wired up. So I'm just gonna run it right over down the edge of the rack, under the lip of the bed, and right down to the tail light, and I'll just tap into the brake lights right there. So very, very simple install, especially towards the rear of the vehicle like that. So catch up when we get the loom. All right, it is a new day. We're continuing work on the third brake light on the rack here. It's actually a whole new week. So I had a trip I was planning. I got to go and paddleboard Horseshoe Bend, stay in a really cool place called the Cliff Dwellers Lodge. Awesome little restaurant there. They had apple cider margaritas, hands down the best margaritas I've ever had. Got to try them. Got to check out some cool places around Page. Did some hikes. Went and visited a place called Mini Wave. Went out to Lake Powell, Lone Rock, just a really cool weekend away. So definitely worth it to take a little break, go check that stuff out. We got some wiring loom as needed before. And since it's been a whole other week, I got some other parts in. So I like running Diode because they're dual color. So Diode hitch pod there. And this one is the C1R. So this one has the running light, brake light, and reverse light in it. And then of course, if you're gonna have something expensive on your vehicle that's easy to steal like that, gotta lock it up. So get those installed today as well, and then see what all that looks like and go from there. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull this tail light off on this side so that I have access into the brake lights and everything right there. We're gonna take the wiring and run it from right here, run it across, under here, behind the chase lights, down inside here, and then we'll bring it over. And then I think I'm gonna drill a hole in the side of the bed right here and put a rubber grommet in. Every other place I found to try and fish wires through, it's got sharp edges next to it, and as much as I hate drilling into the bed, I think it's the best way to make sure that I'm not rubbing on any of those wires. So I've got some rubber grommets I can put in there and make sure it's not any sharp edges on it. So let's start getting this going. But I found a piece of wiring that already has a sheeting on it, a little protective sleeve, and it matches the colors that we're going to use, the black and the white. So I'm going to go ahead and use this and get it thrown in with just some regular the heat shrink solder type connectors. All right, anybody that does a lot of wiring stuff, especially if you use these type of solder torch together connectors, these pliers will allow you to hold onto your wire basically with one hand, it's holding it all together. So I have my other hand free to use the torch, and then it makes it to where you basically don't need that third hand like it seems like you always need. So if I can get this to focus here, if you see that silver band in the middle, it's a little piece of solder. So as you use your torch and heat shrink it, it melts the solder and makes your connection. All right, so I've got all the wiring ran up under, connected and joined in with the other one. I used to have my chase light wires running up here, and I decided to bring them down along with this, and then I just ran them under this little plastic trim on the edge of the side rail of the truck here. So now we've got this one. I'm gonna drill a hole probably right under here, and then put a rubber grommet in it, let it run down through, and then we'll connect it over at the taillight. All right, so after we ran the wires in there, came through a little hole over here. It's already got some wires ran through it. Come over here to our taillight, and then this blue wire right here on the center is the brake light. So we'll tap into this one, and then I'm just going to use one of these bolts right here for the ground, and then we'll test it and see how that works. Now that that's done, we can move on to the hitch pod. So get my lock out here first, double check it's the right size before we get too far into this. This one's kind of cool. It's got the barrel style of keys. I don't know if you can see that there, but the round style. So it's important to note that these lengths, the distance from here to here, can vary by vehicle. So it's important to check that. And then these little rubber O-rings here go on either side, and they squish and keep it from rattling. So keep that in mind. Set that to the side, see what's in this box. In the box, we have the light itself. It's got a 4-pin, I believe they're called a Deutsch style connector. It's basically the same connectors that I use all throughout everything else. We have the wiring harness. So there is a cap for this. So if you're going to be doing like towing and you decide to unplug this and take it out, they make a little rubber cap that you can cap off the wiring harness underneath of the vehicle to keep dust and stuff out of your harness. And then when you're ready to use it again, just pull that cap off and plug it back in. So there's that. Rest of the wiring loom. And then this is a T connector. So basically where your trailer pin connector is underneath, it'll have an end on it that looks like this. You just press this little tab right here, unplug it, plug this end in, and then plug this, or rather plug this end in and then plug this end into the other connector. So it's just a T-harness, very easy. I believe it claims it's a 5-minute install. So let's see. Instructions and a couple of zip ties. All right, something to take note of. The light itself has a function on it that has a strobe feature. When you hit the brakes, it strobes a couple of times, kind of like the one that I just installed. So there's, on the back of this little module, there's a purple wire. And it says if you don't want that to strobe, you cut that wire. If you're okay with it strobing, leave that wire connected. There is a red wire here that has a connector on it. I'm not really sure what that goes to. I didn't see anything in the instructions about it, but there is another red wire here as well as here. Now these connectors match, so not sure what that's about. Doesn't say anything in the instructions, like I said, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect it as instructed and see if everything works the way it's supposed to. So from the factory, it has these tabs that kind of lock it in, and you can reach in there and kind of squeeze past them. I'm not sure if I can do it one hand, hang on. So you can squeeze them and pull them out. You can see the little tabs there. Now, if you want to do the lock, like what I'm talking about, what you need to do is take a X-Acto or a pair of tin snips or something and cut right along that edge right there and open up where your lock will sit inside of this tab. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Here's what that looks like once you remove those tabs. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to make sure that your lock will fit down through there. And actually, the snugger it fits, the better off you are that it's not going to rattle. So get this all reinstalled and show you what it all looks like. So this is what I was talking about with those O-rings. You can see there's one on that side and one on that side, and that's what helps keep it from rattling. So we'll get the lock in now. All right, put my lock on, and if I push it all the way to one side, you can see there's a pretty big gap there. So it looks like I need probably 2 more O-rings. This lock didn't come with extras, but I know you can get them on Amazon, so I'll order those and get them put in, because right now it'll definitely rattle. So get that taken care of, because I hate rattles. Also, if you're running an aftermarket bumper like this, you can see my license plate brackets right here. Pay attention to which way you put your lock through. So I put it in through this side to have all this space to get that key in there to unlock that. Oh, see that over there? That's a future project. If you know what that is, comment below, and maybe I'll get to that project a little quicker. Anyways, let's see what this looks like now that it's all done with the other third brake light. There you go. Added a third brake light onto the rack and installed the Diode Dynamics C1R hitch pod. The hitch pod literally took 5 minutes. It took me longer to cut the little tabs out for the lock to go through than it did to actually do the wiring. It is actually plug and play. As long as your vehicle is wired the same as what they've wired it from the factory. I know not every one of the 7-pin connectors is the same, but as long as it's the same, it's all plug and play. So hope that helps some people out. This for me was kind of a needed addition, because when we get dusty, dirty roads going down, it helps to have the strobe and things that light up that are very bright in addition to the chase lights. That way, when you are cutting through the dust, if you're on the brakes, somebody can see that coming up behind you. So more lighting, the better. Also, like I said before, with my tent covering my third brake light, I figured it was kind of needed. That way people on the highway can see you also. So again, thank you for watching. Appreciate it as always. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment below if these are stuff that you want to see more of, and look forward to you in the next one.